A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Dr. Kemi Bura, Assistant Professor at BITS Institute of Physiotherapy, would like to welcome everyone in today's webinar, Pain Prevention by Ergonomics. Proper ergonomics is especially important for reducing or preventing symptoms of pain. Practicing good ergonomics can help control pain and possibly prevent musculoskeletal disorders. I am pleased to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Yagna Shukla Madam. She is presently working as senior lecturer at Government College, Ahmedabad. She has done her post-graduation in musculoskeletal conditions and further pursued her doctorate and obtained PhD from Gujarat University. She has more than 30 years of professional and academic experience in the field of physiotherapy and had published more than 25 papers at the national and international level. Ma'am has delivered more than 35 to 40 lectures or talks as resource person on core stability exercise, TM joint, ergonomics, spinal cord injury and low back pain. Even she has appeared many times on local television channels in programs for creating and enhancing public awareness as a subject expert of physiotherapy. She has been a co-author of book entitled Management of Spinal Cord Injury by Physiotherapists, Site to Settlement, and written one chapter on spinal cord injury in book Principle and Practice of Physical Rehabilitation. Madam is also a member of Gujarat State Council for Physiotherapy. Before starting with this session, I like to request all the participants to mute the microphone in order to avoid the phone disturbance. We will be having a live question answer session at the end of the webinar. So if you have any doubts, please pop them in the chat box of Google Meet at the end of the webinar. And if you miss anything, do not worry. We will be keeping this recording on our Institute YouTube channel. Now, without wasting much time, I like to request Yagna Madam to start with the session. Madam, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Kemi.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Very good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank BITS Institute of Physiotherapy, especially Shri Jagdish Bhai Patel, Dr. Mehul Jadhav, who is a principal, Dr. Paras Bura, Dr. Kemi, Dr. Sarfaraz, the entire academic team of BITS for giving me this opportunity to talk on a very important and interesting topic, pain prevention by ergonomics. The topic itself speaks the importance of ergonomics. If the things like pain can be prevented, then there is nothing like it as a physiotherapist. As I said, pain prevention by ergonomics. No rehabilitation is completed without ergonomics. So I will be talking on what is ergonomics, what are the causes of work-related musculoskeletal pain and injuries because of which it is so important to have a ergonomics. What are the benefits of ergonomics and what are the ergonomics strategies? I am a physiotherapist. Rehabilitation and restoration of human function is my concern. You can pursue your career as an ergonomic physiotherapist consultant. There are many courses in India and outside India, they are available, and you can pursue your career as an ergonomic physiotherapist. If you look at the definition of pain, as per the International Association for the Study of Pain, that is IASP, it's an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage or described in terms of such damage. So pain is an unpleasant sensation. Prevention, if we look at the actual meaning in medicine, it's the action taken to decrease the chance of getting disease or condition. It is said that prevention is always better than cure. And what is ergonomics? Ergonomics is nothing more than application of common sense that you will come to know at the end of this lecture. If we look at the history of ergonomics, a Polish scholar before 160 years, that is in 1857, he gave this terminology, ergonomics, which was translated in English in 1997. And this ergonomics is basically Greek word. Ergon means work and nomic means law or rule. So it is basically work rules. If you look at the actual meaning work rules, it doesn't apply to only industries, only corporates, but this work rule, it also applies to domestic aspect also, domestic work also. So basically ergonomics is a science that deals with the people and their working environment. Am I going okay? I'm not going too fast, right, Kemi?
Yes, ma'am, you are perfect, ma'am, at the
Thank
proper
you.
speed.
Thank you. So, very interesting fact about ergonomics is ergonomics reduces the risk of injury by adjusting, this is very important, by adjusting the work to fit the person instead of the force instead of forcing the person to adjust the work. In the sense, for example, I don't mind giving example of as a physiotherapist. If a height of a physiotherapist is less and the height of the plinth is high, then the physiotherapist doesn't have to stand on a toes. Instead, physiotherapist will have to stand on a small table to adjust the level of height. So adjusting the work to fit the person instead of forcing the person to adjust the work. In this cartoon, this child is asking his father, what is ergonomy? Then the father is replying, it is making children tall enough not to have dads bend so much. So this now let us go through what is work-related musculoskeletal disorder, which is so important as far as ergonomics is concerned. These are the disorders of muscles, tendons, ligaments, nerves, vessels and joints. Again, very important, it is a resulting from long-term cumulative repeated wear and tear. This is not a one-time result or this is not a acute, this is not, the disorder is not due to some acute issues, but it is a long-term cumulative repeated wear and tear. So this work related, the name itself again speaks, the musculoskeletal disorders are because of work. Now, let us have a look at the what are the causes of work-related musculoskeletal pain. Static loading. It is very important to know the cause because on this basis you will plan your work rules, that is ergonomics. So static loading or sustained exertion, we'll look into detail of this each and every causes. Awkward postures, repetition of movements, mechanical contact stress, force or efforts, and temperature. So broadly speaking, these are the 6 major causes because of which work-related musculoskeletal pain occurs. You can very well see in the picture also how the people are working and that has led to this work-related musculoskeletal pain. Number 1 is static loading or sustained exertion. Now static loading is nothing but it is maintaining body in one position and working. And we have a strong evidences which has shown that because of this static loading, it increases the occurrence of work-related musculoskeletal disorders. Suppose, for example, in this photograph, an ophthalmologist who is working on an eye, so he has to maintain his body in a static position and still he or she has to work. So this static position leads to musculoskeletal pain. Again, in this picture, you can very well see how in a different profession, the people are looking in the person is looking in a microscope, the lady is working in a bending position. This static loading or a sustained exertion that may cause work-related musculoskeletal pain. Second cause is work posture. Very important as a physiotherapist. to know that why this posture leads to pain. If a working posture is awkward and if that posture is maintained for a long time, then it may lead to pain. Working with poor posture leads to muscular pain. You can very well see in the picture the bending posture a person is painting. So that poor posture, awkward posture leads to pain. For example, even if we can take an example of a physiotherapist. On a vestibular ball, a physiotherapist is working in this posture for a long time, and there are chances that it may lead to stress over the back, even on the arms, shoulder, etc. We can again poor work posture, which is very common scenario nowadays. Even because of these lockdowns, the children are working on a laptop, that virtual lectures. Look at their posture. If they are watching these lectures with the poor posture, they may end up with the musculoskeletal pain. The third causes of musculoskeletal pain is repetitive movement. Now, repetitive movement is what? Same joint and muscle groups over and over. When they are doing same motion too often, too quickly and for too long time, then it may lead to pain. Work involving repeated movement again and again. It is very tiring. A person doesn't get a time to rest. So at the end of it, the person may get fatigue and it may lead to repetitive stress injury. Force or effort. Now what is force? Force is an effort the body is doing to lift an object to use the equipment for lifting the object. In short, if the person has to carry weight, so the amount of weight and the way the person is holding, the grip, that is very important. If the weight is more and if the grip, the way the patient is holding is not good, then it may lead to stress and strain over the joint and muscles. So this weight or this effort, which is leads to fatigue, swelling, muscle strain, ligament strain. So for example, if I am holding a box of bottle with the pinch grip, then it is very strenuous. If it is being held with the hook grip, then it is better. So if I'm holding it with the pinch grip, then I may end up having pain at the end of my working hours. So it is very important to, this may lead to pain. So these are the weight is one of the causes of getting pain. If somebody is working with the vibrations of the instrument, to control that vibratory forces, the body has to work more to control that vibrations, right? So to maintain the position, the body has to work, the muscle has to work, and at the end of it, the body gets fatigued. So if the job is of getting vibrations, exposure of vibrations to the whole body or a localized vibrations, that may lead to musculoskeletal disorders. Again, temperature. Even temperature plays a very important cause of getting musculoskeletal disorders, in the sense, if somebody is working in a cold atmosphere, what exactly happens is the body becomes less flexible, the hands can become numb and likely to misjudge the amount of force which is being required to work. Even the movement becomes slow. So all this may result into pain. Even if somebody has to work in a hot weather, then this heat affects the work cycle, and in a hot weather, hot weather, the person gets fatigue more and there might be electrolyte imbalance. So all these things, these are the 6 major causes which leads to pain or work-related musculoskeletal pain. Over and above these causes, one should remember there are additional factors other than this work-related problem is old age. If somebody is old and they have to work, physical condition, if somebody is not used to the challenge given for the work, or if somebody is not doing exercise properly, and if somebody doesn't have good endurance, then that may affect the musculoskeletal problem. That may lead to musculoskeletal problem. Even the medical conditions like arthritis, diabetes, obesity, if somebody has all this additional factor, then one should, as a physiotherapist, we should keep all this in mind when you are planning work rules for that particular person. So the type of work a person is doing and these additional factors, combination of all this should be kept in mind when you are planning your ergonomics or work rules. So basically, who needs to follow ergonomics or these work rules? Usually, as far as I know, people have in mind maybe the corporates, maybe the industrial workers, maybe the back pain patients, they may need this ergonomics, or maybe the computer people. But even a dentist, even a nurse, an ophthalmologist, civil engineer, even a physiotherapist. Not only these professionals, even these corporates, sports person. This is a scenario of a post office, a dancer, and even a domestic worker. They all need ergonomics, or they all need to follow these work rules. These are the some evidences which have shown that it is the prevalence of musculoskeletal pain is very high in the professionals. It is more than 60%, and these are the studies of 1 to 5 years. So you can very well imagine this musculoskeletal or work related musculoskeletal pain is a very, very dangerous thing, and it affects person's productivity. Now, in this, the commonest site for pain, all these professionals, they complain of maximum, they have a complaint of back pain, the neck pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, heel pain. So these are the commonest site where usually people are complaining of pain. So when there is a pain, you feel more fatigue and stress. Somebody's audio is on. I think it is disturbing.
Yes, ma'am, we have told her to mute the microphone.
Svetang Wasawa ji, kindly mute your microphone. Yes, thank you, sir.
Sorry, ma'am, for the disturbance.
No, don't worry. So when there is a pain, you feel more fatigue, you feel more stress, you lose interest in work, you take more sick leaves, your performance and productivities are affected, your income is reduced, your social relations are affected, your professional and career life is affected. So there are very serious repercussions of pain on your work. Now, what are the benefits of ergonomics? If somebody is following work rules, then it prevents or at least reduces the work-related injuries and pain. It increases energy levels and productivity by 25%. It reduces job stress. It reduces number of sick days. It reduces the mistakes, including medical errors, and improve quality of both work and life. Here I would like to mention it reduces number of sick days. Few months ago, I had done this ergonomics awareness among ophthalmologists, and when I was searching the data, in which it was shown that there was a study done on around 500 ophthalmologists, of which they got reply of 420 ophthalmologists, and they took out the analysis that 7% of ophthalmologists, they left their profession because they were tired of getting this musculoskeletal pain. You can imagine people are leaving their profession. Some people, some ophthalmologists, they reduce their working hours because of this musculoskeletal pain. So it affects the quality uh, of work. So if somebody is following ergonomics, that is work rules, then it increases career longevity. Now, being a physiotherapist, people come to us for the consultation about ergonomics for two purposes, therapeutic and occupational. Now, what do you mean by therapeutic? If somebody comes with the pain, or if somebody comes with the back pain, or a knee pain, or a shoulder pain, we will take a history and we'll give electrotherapy, we'll give exercise. But with this, if we give ergonomic exercise, that is, we'll give advice to follow work rules as per the work, whatever work they are doing, then that will help in preventing reoccurrence of pain. So that is therapeutic. Even, for example, if a cerebral palsy or a spinal cord injury patient comes, we know it is such a condition that the relative, there is a more burden, physical burden on relatives. So if we teach the relative how to hold cerebral palsy child, how to take care of a spinal cord injury in transfer activities, with a and we teach them to follow these working rules, and that will help that relatives a lot. And that is a part of physiotherapist's duty to teach even patient's relative how to hold it and how to take care of patients, so that the relative doesn't end up in musculoskeletal pain. As far as occupational consultation is concerned, this is therapeutic consultation. Let us finish that first. So that is being done for the prevention of pain, prevention of aggravation of pain, and prevention of reoccurrence of pain. And as far as occupational or a professional consultation is concerned, many corporates, many industrial companies, they hire physiotherapists for the guidance, for the training of their employee, so that the safety of employee is being saved and the productivity of company is increased. So corporate, industrial companies, bank employee, professionals like dentist, nurse, ophthalmologist, sports person, they do come so that they do not end up with pain and the career is being protected. Even we can give domestic guidance, how to do domestic work following these work rules. It is very again important to do ergonomic assessment. Unless you assess a person from that angle, you will not be able to plan work rules. So it is very important to take relevant history, especially of work. It is being marked that when the students are asking occupational history, they will only write housewife or a laborer. That is not enough, because a person who is going back to the work should follow these work rules, and unless and until you know that what kind of work that person is doing, in which posture he is doing, how many hours he is doing, you will not be able to plan the rules of that work. And unless and until that is not being followed, the person may not get full recovery in pain. So it is very important to take detailed history of work or of occupation of a person. So type of work is very important. Type of posture adopted during work, to know what kind of posture a person is doing when he or she is doing the work. Number of working hours. Anthropometric assessment, again body dimension to know is very important. Biomechanical assessment. Biomechanical assessment is very important because movement, external force, internal force, one must know, and work environment. So overall, the person is being assessed as far as making ergonomic rules are concerned by knowing full detailed relevant history of work. And after assessing it, ergonomic strategies are being made. It is three things are to be taken into consideration when ergonomic strategies are made: worker, job design, and workplace. After knowing all these three important things, ergonomic strategy, work rule strategies are being formed. Now, again, there are many important points which one should keep in mind, because when you know the cause, it has to be removed. All these strategies, all these ergonomic strategies, they are tailor made, but the basic principle will be same. Naturally tailor made in the sense the work required, the work of everyone is different. The posture in which people are working is different. So it varies from person to person. So it is tailor made. But there are certain principles which are very common. On that basis, one can plan work rules. Again, anthropometric, biomechanical data, they are very important because on that basis, ergonomist will plan the treatment or plan the rules. So, work analysis is done, identification of musculoskeletal problems as per the work is done, workplace designing is done, and accordingly work training is done. So when a person if for example in an industry, if the worker, what kind of work that worker has to do it, that work is being analyzed. During that work, what kind of musculoskeletal that person may face, that is being analyzed, and to prevent that problem, the workplace design is done, and then that worker is being given training, so that because that person is being trained, and that reduces stress and that reduces chances of getting pain. So the goal of work rule is to reduce body stress due to overuse of muscles, bad posture, and repeated tasks. Now, ergonomic strategies. These strategies are done by change the environment of workplace. There is a little repetition so that I think I can become more and more clear. So the environment of the workplace is changed. The change of tool and equipment is done. Change of working style, and training and workshops are done. So you can very well see in the photograph, the change of environment is done. The computer desk and everything, it is at the ideal level. Change of tool and equipment, even chair, even the keyboard is as per the work rules, so that there is less stress and strain on the wrist. Change of working style, instead of bending forward, a lady is sitting straight, and training and workshops. So ergonomist should have a knowledge of type of work, should have a knowledge of work environment, should have knowledge of biomechanics, should have a knowledge of anthropometric of worker, should have a knowledge of stress put on body due to work, and should have a knowledge of workers' safety. On this basis, on these 6 points, the ergonomist will plan the rules which a worker has to follow it so that that prevents pain. Now, these are the common basic strategies on which the ergonomist will plan the rules. So, person is asked to work in a neutral position. So, if the proper posture is maintained, then it reduces stress. As you can see in this photograph, work has to be done in a neutral posture. This is an ophthalmologist who is working, who is look at the posture, forward head posture, right? If the person is sitting in a neutral position, then he avoids getting back pain. So you can very well advise such professionals to follow these rules. Even I would like to mention here, when I went for this ophthalmologist ergonomic lecture, and when I show them how they are supposed to follow this ideal rules so that the stress and strain on the musculoskeletal skeletal part is avoided, after this, even after 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 ophthalmologists, they did met me, and they mentioned me that, madam, we have started following your advices, and really it is working like it is really very helping them, because you know the energy level also increases because you are not getting fatigue. So the energy level also increases if you follow ideal rules. Again, this is another example. There is a stress over the back. Instead of that, if that person is advised that the patient should come forward, remember in OPD patient keeps on changing but the doctor remains the same. So if repeatedly a doctor is adopting this poor posture and examining the patient, then he may end up with pain. The ergonomic strategy, this is the one of the points which one should keep in mind, reduces excessive stress. Excessive pressure or a force at a joint can cause injury. So it is better to minimize the work that requires more physical labor. Work smart, not hard. Use cart. You can advise a person to use cart for heavy items whenever you can, and use body weight to push the cart with your legs rather than pulling with your back. Keep everything in reach. What does that mean? That will prevent unnecessary stretching and straining. So more or less this principle is related with maintaining good posture also. Now, if you are advising a person who is working in a office table, so you can advise that they can plan, they can divide the office table in 3 different way, in the sense the things which is very commonly of use, it should be nearer to the person, and the thing which is not of that use, it should be away on the table. So that this kind of planning will help, or that will avoid strain and stretch over the back. Same thing, this principle applies in the kitchen also, that you can advise a person that less frequent used items should be kept up, much up above in the cupboard, or very much down in the cupboard, and in the middle part most frequent things can be kept, so that it becomes easy to take it out, and at the same time the things which is not of much use, it can be stored in a upper part of cupboard or a lower part of cupboard. It is very important to guide that the work should be done at a proper height, because working at a right height makes things way easier. Even sometimes height can be maintained by adding extension or avoiding extension on a chair or table. You can see a physiotherapist who is working on a stepping stool so that the right kind of force can be exerted on the patient when you are giving manipulation or when you are giving exercises. Same way, things at a right height on a computer makes a lot of difference. This is very important picture as far as work at proper height is concerned. Always remember, when you are advising somebody, when you are giving ergonomic advices, if somebody has a precision work, then the height of the table should be above the elbow level. If the work is of light, if it is of light work, then it should be below the elbow level. I mean at the elbow level. And if it is a heavy work, then it should be below the elbow level. The height of the table should be below the elbow level. Same thing, for example, if in an operation theatre, if the height of a surgeon is less and if the height of the assistant is more, if they keep that table low, then the assistant may get back pain because he has to bend more. Instead, if the surgeon who has less height, if he is standing on a stool, then the purpose will be served that the operation table is at a higher level, so that the assistant also will not have to bend too much, and that is how the working at a proper height will help in avoiding pain. So always remember, middle portion of the body is a power zone as far as doing work is concerned. Higher and lower zone, they are danger zone, and it may lead to pain. Always when you are planning ergonomic rules, reduce excessive motion, because repetitive motion needs to be avoided. It may cause stress and pain. Now, how do you avoid this repetitive motion or excessive motion? For example, instead of screwdriver, if you are asking a person to use this motorized screwdriver, it does it in a seconds and the things will work. So the person doesn't have to do this repetitive excessive motion. Same way, for brooming, you can advise this vacuum cleaner if person can afford it. Again, this is very important to minimize fatigue and static load, because fatigue is common in strenuous and static load work. So how do you avoid this fatigue, or how do you reduce this fatigue? You can advise to take breaks in work. So fatigue can be reduced by intervals and the breaks between works. Move and stretch whenever one can. Always advise the office worker to stand up and stretch or walk around for 1 or 2 minutes every hour. Even they can put alarm in their mobile, and that will remind that now it's time to get up and move around, so that break will relax the person, and that will avoid fatigue also. This kind of stretching exercise can be advised to an office worker or to a person who is working sitting on a chair for a long time. So they can have this stretches at least for 10 minutes every hour. That will avoid fatigue also, and that will save the energy. Again, this is very important. Whenever you are assessing a person's job, always try to have a look at which are the pressure points which may give pain. In the sense, if the job is such that they have to hold the things in one position, then that continuous position may lead to pinching or they may lead to pain. So one needs to be aware of pressure points while working in a standing or sitting position. You can advise soft cushioning when the person has to sit for a long time or stand for a long time, or even now the anti-fatigue mats are available on which standing on this mat that will reduces fatigue level. So it is a very soft thing and that is available in the market around, in the USA it is of around $25. Same thing, this is an example of again an ophthalmologist. If this is on the left side, the photograph is of unsupportive upper extremity, ulnar deviation with wrist extension during slit lamp biomicroscopy. So this stress can be reduced by putting a soft small cushions at the elbow, and that will reduces the pressure point and that will reduce the risk of rotator cuff tendinitis or shoulder impingement syndrome. Again, whenever you are planning it, always look for the good working atmosphere. The work area should have a good clearance. It should have good lighting, good space, good air. So the person would like to work if the environment is good, and if the environment is good, the productivity increases. You can very well correlate that if you are working in this weather, if you are working in a hot weather, you would not like to work, but in an air condition your working capacity increases. So if the environment is good, then naturally the productivity will be more. These are the certain tips or strategies which you can advise as far as the work rules or ergonomics are concerned. You can advise a person whenever they are reading some material that let the chair do some work for you. No slumping is allowed. Use a book stand or a copy holder to elevate reading materials. Looking down puts tremendous stress on the neck. So advise a person to look up and do the work. As we are advising to our back pain patient, while getting up from the cot, they are not supposed to get up straight away in a supine position. They have to take turn in one side and then they have to get up so that the stress over the back will be avoided. Advise your patient to hold the weight not away from the body but towards the, they have to hold it towards the body, nearer to the body, so that this weight arm is reduced. If the weight arm is, remember your first year, if the weight arm is more, the person, there will be more stress over the back. So advise your patients to hold the objects nearer to the body. Even baby carrying school bag, whenever you are lifting any heavy object, one has to distribute that weight into two hands so that the stress at one side will be avoided. If the job is of long standing, then they have to use footstool to keep one foot up, and one by one they have to switch the side so that the stress on the back is avoided. If somebody has to pivot with the heavy object, then the nose and toes should go together. Always advise the person not to twist the back and do the job, but turn the whole body when they are turning it, twisting the spine. I hope I am clear. The nose should always be in line with your toes. The whole body should be turned, not the spine. Even for the driving, long-term commutes can be hard on your back. So always remember, advise the person to adjust the seat belt, position the arms so that it can easily reach the steering wheels, and always advise them if they are going for a long drive, then they have to take stops in between and stretch the as we are advising to the person of who are using computers. Even these are the postures on which person is advised to sleep. This is not in our hand. When once you are in a deep sleep, it is not possible to maintain this position. But as far as possible, if the pillows are being kept between legs in a side lying or in a below the knees in a supine lying, then that will relaxes the spine and it prevents the pain. When pushing the cart, it is advisable to push instead of pull. The path should be clear. The way through which they are pulling the cart, there should not be any hurdles in between. The weight should not be too much that one has to push it too hard so that it may create stress over the back. So the wheels should be good. So these are the few points if the person has to work or if a person has this kind of work, then you can advise accordingly. Not only the atmosphere, but there are certain equipments which helps in reducing stress over the musculoskeletal part, and that helps in preventing pain. As you all know, this is the position about the computer. These are the ergonomic keyboards. There is a big market about ergonomic chair. It is available, ranging from 5,000 to 1 lakh. And depending on the needs and depending on the capacity of your pocket, you can very well have it. Even for the sofas, for the beds, as per the height, as per the requirements, you can very well plan it, and that helps in reducing stress and strain and pain. Even in the kitchen, this is very important to know that there is thing called kitchen triangle: the cooktop, the sink, and refrigerator. The distance between these three areas is minimized. It should be minimum and unobstructed so that one can easily multitask between cooking, cleaning, and food preparations. So if there is nothing between cooktop, sink, and refrigerator, the things becomes easier and faster in kitchen. Again, this is very important. When there is a pushing cart or when there is a door, push and pull door, it should be, the handle should be vertical. Why vertical? The height varies of a person who is using it. So if somebody who has a good height, they can push it from the upper part of this handle if it is vertical. If somebody has less height, they can push it from the lower part. So it is the horizontal handle is not good because the length on the door is fixed, while the handle which is vertical the handle which is vertical, it helps to the person who has variations in height. So it is very important to have vertical handle, whether it is a cart or a door. Even for the dentist, there are certain dental chair because the work-related musculoskeletal problem is very common among dentists. Even the staircase height, if it is of 7 inch, the height of the stair is 7 inch and the width is 11 inch, that is ideal steps as far as ergonomic point of view is concerned. Too much height or too less height is not good. So now wherever you go, if you find it that it requires a lot of exertion to step to have a step up, then you can very well think of having not from the ergonomic point of view good height of that step. So work smarter, not harder. The benefits of ergonomics are these benefits. The ergonomic benefits health, productivity, accuracy, and efficiency. People will work more efficiently if they follow work rules. People won't get repetitive strain injuries, RSI, and musculoskeletal disorders. There is overall increase in productivity will occur. Ergonomics enhances accuracy and effectiveness of rehabilitation regime. Your rehabilitation will be more effective, it will be more accurate if you are advising ergonomics, that is work rules. Now it is really very important to give this over and above electrotherapy and exercise. This work rule advices is very, very important. Now, my take home message to you all is it is a lot simpler to choose the right equipment than to adopt the wrong equipment. And it is a lot simpler to change a line by designing than modify already made instruments or machine. So, prevention is always better than cure. Stay home, stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge with us. Ma'am, the images you have used was really very interesting. Thank you so much for such a nice presentation. Now, ma'am, we will go ahead and take some time for question answers. So I request all the participants, if you have any doubt, please type them in a chat box. Yes, ma'am. We have one question from Paras Bura.
Okay.
There are lots of views regarding pushing and pulling object. So how to advise regarding pushing and pulling? When to pull the object and when to push the object?
Now see, pulling and pushing. It is said that pushing is better than pulling, right? Why? Because when you are pushing it, you don't have to push it with the hand, you have to push it with the whole body. And when you are pulling it, it may happen that the force is so much that to pull it, it requires lot of intra-abdominal pressure or it requires intrathecal pressures. So it requires lot of stress to initiate the pulling part, and sometimes the force is so much that the trolley may overcome you. So if you do not get good judgment, then it may harm you also. So it is better to push so that you can utilize your body, the whole body, to push it, so that the force is being distributed among the whole body, and that is how there is a less stress. So pushing is always better than pulling.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another question from Dr. Dharmesh Contractor. Under what guidelines we advise ergonomics?
Actually, guidelines is the person who is taking advice is the best guide for you, in the sense, if you have good knowledge about musculoskeletal part, if you have good knowledge about stress and strain and biomechanics, anthropometric, and what leads to this stress, is if you have that good knowledge, and if you assess the patient, because it varies from person to person, there is no fixed guideline, because the guideline depends on the requirement of work. If somebody has to do too much twisting and turning, if somebody has to do too much bending, if somebody has to do too much sitting, then the advice varies accordingly. It depends on the type of job that person is doing. So when you know what leads to this pain, and when you know what are that is why I touch the basic points. When you are planning ergonomics, you should keep in mind that the posture should be straight. If you are assessing a person and if the posture is not good, you can advise accordingly. You can advise the how they have to take care of the chair, how much breaks they are supposed to take. Too much of stress is not good. So it's a smart work, right? So it varies. There are no fixed guidelines. So if the industry is asking you and if they are calling you to take advice, you have to assess what kind of work they are doing it, and accordingly you have to have your own planning, which should include less stress, less strain, less repetition, less static load, good posture, and accordingly you have to advise.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another question from Lavina Makhija. In osteoarthritic patients aren't able to use their knee joints instead of bending from lower back. So what advisable in that case? So what is advisable in that case?
If a person who is having knee pain, right, and they are not able to bend it, and what is the question?
A patient will not be able to use their knee joint instead of bending from lower back.
So instead of knee, they are bending from lower back.
Lower back, yes.
Okay. So you can advise those patients that they are not supposed to, they are not able to bend from knee and they are not supposed to bend from back. So what they are supposed to do, so they have to do all the activities on a chair, so that they need not have to bend it, because too much of bending from back, there is already compensatory movement at back because patient is avoiding movement at knee. So there has to have a balance. At the same time, already back is under over extra stress, and if the person is bending from back, then that is not a good thing. So they have to make changes accordingly. As it is, we are advising not to sit on a floor to such patient, right? And I mean, they have to avoid it. Always advise patients that avoid it. You cannot stop, you cannot ask them to stop it completely, because sometimes that movement is a bread and butter from that. So you cannot ask somebody that you stop doing it and they stop earning their bread and butter. One has to give practical solution.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Ma'am, there is another question from Pankti Chauhan. Is there any specific ergonomic advice for a 47 years old female working on a computer since 25 years and has already developed cervical spondylosis?
Now, cervical spondylosis is different thing. It is a degenerative process. It is concerned with the age. As I said, additional factor, I have already mentioned in my presentation that over and above this, the causes, there are additional factors. And this cervical spondylosis comes under that additional factor. So that is a reality one has to keep in mind when you are advising it. And to this, if to avoid further damage and to avoid more pain, to prevent more pain, you can for the computer, whatever advices we are giving, same advices you can give. You can even ask them to reduce the working hours over the computer, because in our cancer hospital, the pathology department, they called us and they took our advice that what we should do, because many pathologists, they had a problem of this neck and everything. So we asked them to adjust the height of microscope, height of the stool on which they were sitting, even on the computer, and 50% of that problem was reduced. So it will not go, because this is a chronic problem. This is not a one day problem, right? So it also goes, if it is of 25 years old, then it should go very gradually. But if you insist and if they follow it thoroughly, definitely it will help that person a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another question from Dr. Dharmesh sir. How to check the office chair height according to individual height? Because everyone has a vivid height.
Right. So that is why now this ergonomic chair which has a adjustable height. So according to height, they can adjust it. And as we all know, the foot should be on the ground. The knee should be little lower than hip. It should not at the level of hip, a little above. You can put a small box, stool below the foot, but it should be completely touching the ground so that the back part is relaxed, right? You can advise small pillow behind the back so that the back is relaxed and supported. But nowadays, excellent ergonomic chairs, they are available. Even the height of arm, that is also changeable. So according to person's height, you can very well adjust it.
Thank you, ma'am. There is another question from Saloni Agrawal. How can we examine work hardening and conditioning?
How can we examine?
Work hardening and conditioning.
There is again, there is a work assessment. There is a work assessment format. So according to the requirement of work, you can very well assess the endurance of a person, and according to that endurance, if a person is, you can train that person like we are training sports people, right? If they do it without, if the endurance is less, they may end up in getting stress or pull or pain. So if the muscle endurance is good, then they can face the challenges properly. So it is this work hardening, and this thing is, it comes with the repetition, and you have to keep on checking it whether that person is able to take that challenge or not.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So it depends, if you have to train that person
Okay.
according
Ma'am,
to
there
the
is a
requirement.
Ma'am, there is another question from Trushangi. Is the flexibility of muscle can help in the ergonomics? Can
Very
we say,
much.
can we
Very.
say that can we say that like if person has more flexibility, so person does not get much pain?
In a way, this is a very good question. It is very important to have good flexibility, because if you have a good flexibility, it means you have a smooth movement, and if you have a smooth movement, then that will help you in a smooth work, right? So having good flexibility is a good sign, and that will help in definitely will help in reducing the stress.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another question from Bulbul. Ma'am, what advice for the two-wheelers as they are suffering from back pain, neck pain, when they have to ride it continue for more than 45 minutes?
You see, our roads are not that good. It's like same thing as I said, one of the causes are vibrations. This vibratory force, to control that vibratory force, that requires more muscle work, and that static muscle work of controlling that vehicle may end up in getting pain. uh, you have two options. One, you don't have to drive it if the pain is too much. Two, if that is not the practical solution, then you can avoid bumpy ride. I mean, avoid the roads on which there are too much of bumps or the roads is not smooth. But or what you all can do is you can do stretching, strengthening exercises, and make yourself so much competent that whatever the vibratory force, because if you yourself is facing this problem, the age is not that, the age is not that much that you should have this problem. So better you yourself do these exercises of stretching and strengthening, and make yourself competent to for this 45 minutes driving.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question from Dharmesh sir. How to do ergonomic assessment? Is there any software or standard scales?
There are work assessment tools. There is a big machine in which you can assess the grip, you can assess the capacity of lifting, how much weight one can. At civil, we have that machine. It is attached with the computerized. It is attached with the computer, and there are sensors which assess the pressure, and it depends the what kind of work that person is doing. Accordingly, you can have this assessment of that person, that if that thing requires this much of pressure, the person is not able to exert that much pressure, it means he is not fit for this job. So that machine is available, but it is quite costly.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. One more question is there from Saloni Agrawal. Does passive and active insufficiency interferes with the exercise?
Interference with exercise? Yes, it does.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we'll wait for more 30 seconds. If still we have any questions, then we'll cover it. Participants, if you still have any doubts, please pop in the chat box. I think, ma'am, we have covered all the questions. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, we go forward for the vote of thanks. On behalf of entire BITS Institute of Physiotherapy, I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this webinar such a resounding success. First, I would like to propose a vote of thanks to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Yagna Shukla Madam, for gracing today's webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am. Session was very interesting, meaningful, and thought-provoking. My special thanks to Dr. Anjali Bishe Madam, Dr. Nita Vyas Madam, and all respected teachers across the Gujarat for their presence in this webinar. I extend my thanks to our Honorable Founder President and Chairman Shri Jagdish Bhai Patel Sir, our Joint Managing Trustee Srimati Kamalben J. Patel Madam for their constant support. I extend my thanks to our Chairman Dhruv Patel Sir who allow us to organize such webinars, and our Campus Director Hardik Patel Madam for their constant motivation. I would like to express my profound gratitude to our Principal Dr. Mehul Jadhav Sir, Vice Principal Dr. Sarfraz Nawaz Shah Sir for their enormous cooperation. My sincere thanks to our respected Gade Dada for wonderful graphic designing. I like to thank all the participants who had made this event success. Lastly, I am happy to express vote of thanks to all the staff members who have made this webinar a grand success. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Stay
Thank you,
home.
ma'am.